Donald Trump's promise to get straight to work, it might even be happening as we speak.
Yeah, he'd flagged in the lead up to today that he'd be taking dozens of executive actions on day one. As expected, immigration is already looking like it's going to be a big focus. He campaigned heavily on the issue of border security during the election campaign, and so he wanted to be seen to be taking a tough stance on that issue from the beginning. He announced in his address that he would be declaring a national emergency on the US southern border with Mexico, that he'd be sending troops to the border and immediately beginning deportations. He has promised to carry out the largest deportation program in US history. He also announced moves on energy policy. He'll declare a national emergency on energy, fulfilling that campaign slogan that we heard so often of drill baby drill when it comes to oil and gas drilling. He's also going to again withdraw the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement. He said that he'd end diversity programs, or suggested he'd end diversity programs in the US government and change official policy so that only two genders of male and female are formally recognised. What we didn't hear from the now president in that speech was an announcement on whether he'd pardon some of the people who were convicted over the January 6th Capitol attacks, the attack on this very building 4 years ago after he refused to concede defeat to Joe Biden. He has suggested that some of those pardons would be forthcoming, but there's a very long day still ahead of us.
And you, Carrington, now you're outside the Capital One Arena with a crowd of Trump supporters. What's the mood like there?
Yeah, it's pretty loud here. What we're dealing with is the people who unfortunately haven't made it in to the arena which will hold this indoor parade. The extravaganza that was planned for the inauguration ceremony was curtailed by these frigid conditions. And so the people you see behind me are the ones who have been told that they just won't make it in. There are still some pressed up against the fence, hoping against hope that perhaps some space may become available. But they were hanging on every word that they heard from Donald Trump as that speech was broadcast here to the masses. And you can tell that there is this sense of enthusiasm, excitement that their hero, their political hero, has once again taken the reins of power. I would expect most of these people would now try and find space indoors to try to watch the rest of today's festivities. But these are the die-hard Trump supporters. These are the people who have returned him to the White House. And this is a very different atmosphere than it was back in 2017. At that point, a lot of people thought that this was a political fluke. This political neophyte who'd never fought a political battle had taken the presidency against all the polls. He did win the popular vote. He won in the Electoral College. And now he is promising a total overhaul of the government. He is promising that action begins on day one. So we wait to see see what happens from here. This isn't the crowd that Donald Trump would have liked. They can only fit about 20,000 people into the arena behind me. But he will be surrounded by his die-hard fans, and he can expect that hero's welcome.